My name is Bev Murrell, and I want to talk today about race, actually, again. I want to talk about it, and you may think to yourself, well, what would she know? She's white. She's probably never had any prejudice for her skin colour, and that's absolutely true. Not only that, but I grew up in a family that was not considered to be racist. The other side of that is it was Australia. We were in the inner city suburbs, and weren't really many people around us that were not white. We had new Australian immigrants, Greeks and Italians, but we didn't really come across anybody that wasn't pretty well just like us. And so therefore, for me, it's taken time to learn and to grow and understand what it is to be racist, what it is to be non-racist, and what it is to be anti-racist. And I think that anti-racist is a strong position to take, but it's also one that needs white people particularly to learn about. Because it's not enough to say, hang on, we've done this and we've done that and we make sure this happens and all the rest of it. I don't think we've understood our history way back even to the early 20th century when um, Aboriginal people may not any longer be being driven to the rivers and being shot as a whole tribe. Yes, that may not have happened anymore. But we had people working on the big cattle stations and farms, etc. And the white men who worked there were getting paid in money, and the Aboriginal men were being paid in flour, sugar, salt, alcohol, and tobacco. Now, if you never get any money, all you can bring home to your family is the flour and the sugar and the salt, and you and your mates have drunk the alcohol. There is already a baseline from which you cannot grow. Your children can't be adequately educated. Your predisposition to become alcoholic because of not having centuries of building up a resistance to alcohol has meant that the white settlers drove the Aboriginals into alcoholism, into addictions, into inability to make their way in a Western world, and only just those that were lucky enough to manage to get through and find a way to become educated were the people that managed to sustain a living wage. And then, after that, we had no idea in my family that even up until as late as the 60s, Aboriginal children were just rounded up and taken to big dormitory schools where they were given minimum education because the girls were going to be used as domestic servants and the boys were going to be used on the land. We did not know that until the mid 60s. Now, I was a teenager in the mid 60s. That until the mid 60s, Aboriginal people were considered part of the flora and fauna of this land. They were not considered human beings. Now, people who were made in the image of God, but they were not considered to be human beings. And I think if you believe the story in Genesis, how God made the first human being out of dirt, I've never seen white dirt. I've only seen brown dirt, black dirt, red dirt, never seen white dirt. So, if you happen to be a Christian that's listening to this, consider that, because there's been many, many preachers, especially the last 3 or 4 centuries, that have validated the enslaving of other people as being less than. And yet, if God started with one colour, I'm pretty sure that the Garden of Eden didn't have white dirt. So we're looking at things like that. That for me to have been a teenager before Aboriginal people were recognised as fully human, this was after that they'd been being paid for more than a century in food and alcohol. And we can look now sideways and think, well, why are you like that? Why aren't you getting an education? Why aren't you making use of this? We have no idea of the epigenetic trauma that has taken place on the races of the peoples of this land, the damage that has been done. And I'm thinking now about the whole Black Lives Matter movement, and I've had several people send me little pieces of information on the side about how the Black Lives Matter movement is a Marxist movement. You know, the thing that strikes me is that Marxists and Christians and Hindus and gay people and Muslims and brown people and black people and white people and Asian people, whatever, we can never say this is a group. This group as a group is this. They're lazy or they're Marxist or they're good. We can't say that because the thing about people is that we're all just what we are. Some of us are good, some of us are not so good. Some of us are Christian, some of us aren't Christian. But I tell you what, being a Christian doesn't mean that every decision you've made is right. In fact, I don't know if you know that it was the Christians that voted Hitler in to power in Nazi Germany. And that was because Hitler made himself of appeal to the Christians. He appealed to the Christians in the words that he said. A lot of them he didn't believe. But because he said them and because it suited them, they ended up voting him into power. And as a result, 15 million people were killed. 6 million Jews, yes. Disabled people, gay people, gypsies. There were masses killed. And it was the Christians that had voted Hitler in. Now, I am a Christian. I'm a strong Christian. But I know that if some guy in Canberra who happens to be the head of some Christian organisation in Canberra puts out conspiracy theories, and in this particular case regarding Black Lives Matter organisation, but in any case a whole lot of junk, sometimes just anti-scientific junk. And you know, God made the world. He definitely didn't have a problem with science. And I think that you wouldn't have a problem with science either if you had a brain tumour and you needed a surgeon who understood science and had studied it come to operate on your brain. I think I'd rather have the most atheist brain surgeon who knew what he was doing operate on my brain than have some good Christian know-it-all who had a really good idea and felt that because he'd done, you know, a science degree at school, that he knew what he was talking about. So all I can say, I've looked into the Black Lives Matter thing because I've had a few people send me the information. And all I can say is that everybody that I know personally, and I know quite a number of people in the UK, in America, in the African nations, in Australia, in New Zealand. So when I'm saying everybody I know, I'm talking a few thousand people. And out of those few thousand people, quite a number of them are people that would use the hashtag Black Lives Matter. Not one of them belongs to that particular organisation that the guy in Canberra is highlighting. And so I want to say, in the same way as you can meet a Christian, one Christian is just the nicest person you could ever meet, who would give you their last $10 and would go out of their way to do whatever you needed. And another guy would be one who would take your last $10 and who would kick you in the street as well. Both of them are Christian. Christian isn't about being good. Christian isn't about making good decisions. Christian is about understanding that Jesus Christ died to save you from your sin and you accepting that. But, you know, I've been a Christian now 44 years. And I've known some disgusting liars who happen to be Christian. I've known people who've lied and cheated on their partner and damaged their kids and, done abysmal things. Back in the day, Christians were the people that voted for slavery and voted against giving freedom to slaves, justifying it. This isn't a Christian bashing thing because it's not just Christians that can say the wrong thing. What I am saying is that Black Lives Matter organisation doesn't stand for all the people for whom Black Lives Matter. And so I feel like, please don't send me anything else. I'm completely not interested because most of the people that are saying Black Lives Matter are people who care about black lives. not people who've joined the Black Lives Matter organization and and pay their dues to that. So I feel like it's really vital for us as people to get a handle on learning and listening. There's a few books that I've been reading, and there's an American author whose name's Ijeoma Oluo, and she has written a book called So You Want to Talk About Race. There's a British writer, and he has written, his name's Ben Lindsay, and he has written a book called We Have to Talk About Race. Another guy, Drew Hart, has written The Troubles I've Seen. And there's a whole lot of other books out there as well. The thing that I want to encourage you to do, if you're a person who says, well, I'm not racist, but I want to encourage you to buy some books, download them on Audible if you haven't got time to read them, watch some, watch some, podcasts. Sorry, listen to some podcasts, or watch some YouTube clips, or watch some of the things that have been said. Maybe Carl Lentz, talking to T.D. Jakes, talking to John Gray. Watch, listen to the other side of the argument, because none of us have the right to say I'm not whatever that might be without actually understanding what it is that we're saying. And I feel like, as a representative of a white nation, it's really vital for us to understand that racism is alive and well. And the reason that we don't see it is because we don't experience it. So I want to encourage you, listen, learn, ask questions if you have to, but don't ask dumb questions. And definitely don't say to somebody, can I touch your hair? Because how would you feel if they said, can I touch yours first? So let's find a way forward in this by being educationally inquisitive, curious, trying to understand everything that we don't know. Okay. Talk to you more later. Okay, bye.